Hey everyone, welcome to Sober Souls. I'm Sam.
Hey guys, I'm Caleb.
We're Sober Souls. Today we're going to talk about brotherhood and friends in recovery versus friends in addiction. Caleb, if you want to start off with talking about that.
Okay. Hey, good morning, guys. It's what is it? Today is Saturday, June 13th, about 11:30 in the morning. So yeah, we'll talk about friendship today, brotherhood. Um, before I got sober, the people that I was running around with were, definitely not the best people to be running around with. And at the end of the day, I put myself in a position. I'm not a victim. I'm not pulling the victim card. I put myself into
Mm-hmm.
situations that would make it really easy for other people to take advantage of me. On that same token, I took advantage of a lot of other people as well. I was a bad dope fiend. I'd steal your dope and then help you look for it. We got trees falling down today. Sorry about that. Anyways, um, most of the people that I drank and drugged with are dead, to be honest. I'm 44, and every year that goes by, I hear about more and more people passing away from this drug and alcohol addiction that we all suffer from.
Yeah.
And so, it's been hard watching so many people pass.
Mm-hmm.
I've lost family, I've lost friends recently to this addiction. And if you're in recovery and you're a guy, you might want to get a black suit and tie.
Yep.
And if you're a girl, you might want to get a black dress because you're going to go to some funerals. That much I can guarantee you. I still remember when I was early in recovery, living in the Carolinas, and one of the guys that I was sponsoring went out one night and got a prostitute and got a bunch of crack. And he was about 32 years old, and his heart exploded over off of Wilkinson Boulevard in a rough part of Charlotte. And I got the call at about 3:30 in the morning from my guy, and he said, "Hey," he said, "wake up. I'll be there to get you soon. We got to go identify a body." Evidently, he had no identification on him, no wallet, no nothing. Um, So yeah, my buddy Scott called me that morning, and he came and picked me up, and we went and identified the body. And sure enough, it was one of our guys. And then we had to go to his house and talk to his wife about what had happened the night before and his two kids. And man, that was tough.
Yeah, that's hard.
But that's what happens in recovery. People relapse, and a lot of people never come back to recovery.
Yeah.
I think the more times you relapse, the harder it is to come back. I know for me, from about age, I went to my first meeting when I was 20, and started recovery trying to get sober in my early 20s. And I didn't get it right away. Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. It took me 8 years of coming in and out of recovery before I finally was able to put the plug in the jug. um and for me to think that I did all of that on my own would be incredibly selfish and self-centered, I feel. There's a lot of guys in recovery that I owe my life to. Talking about real friends. Um, when I got sober this last time and went back to the Carolinas, I met a guy that pretty much saved my life. I was batshit crazy, drug addict, alcoholic, manic depressive, bipolar, schizoaffective, and unmedicated, and trying to medicate with street drugs because I didn't have the proper medication at that point in time. But my friend, we'll just call him B. He met me every morning. I worked with him for over 2 years, my first 2 years of sobriety. You guys have heard me talk about him before. He's a good friend. We still talk 2 or 3 times a year. And I've got several good friends on the East Coast. And so now what's really cool is I have friends in every time zone in America. Right? So us being on Pacific time,
West Coast, Best Coast.
West Coast, Best Coast. Yeah, I've got friends in the West. I've got friends in the mountains. I've got friends in the central and southern areas, and then I've got friends on the east. And it's really cool to talk to different people. And I got a lot of family back down south, and some of my family's in recovery. And I've got an uncle that I'm pretty close with that's in recovery. I had an aunt that I was very close with that was in recovery, but unfortunately, about 7 months ago, she took her life, and she was drunk when she did it, and she was in her early 60s. And I got to tell you guys, I've taken that one pretty hard. That was my favorite aunt, and I loved her with all my heart, and spent a lot of time with her growing up, and she kind of helped raise me um, back home in Texas, in the 80s and 90s. And she was always around, and she was always there for me. And it wasn't just losing a family member. When I lost Jody, it was losing a friend.
Yeah.
She was that 2 a.m. friend that I could call, or that she could call, when we were down and out and you can't get anybody else to answer the phone and you're all alone. It's the middle of the night. You can't sleep. You're all up in your head, which is not somewhere that you want to be.
No, it's not.
I have to get out of my head all the time and try to keep my hands busy. And that's just part of what I have found in recovery that works for me, is keeping my hands busy. But,
Idle hands is the devil's playground.
mhm. And so, fast forward 14 and a half years, the friends that I have today, I wouldn't trade for anything. I've got friends that are in recovery. I've got so-called normie friends. Um, and it's been really good. I've got what I would consider brothers now, guys like Sam, guys like John, guys like Dave, Nolan, T. There's like a group of us, just like a group within a group, right? And
Sober gang.
you know, it's like what is a friend of ours used to call it, the God Squad.
The God Squad.
And unfortunately that friend's not doing so good right now, but this episode is definitely not about him. But anyway,
Yeah.
um, nowadays, if I need somebody to talk to, I pick up the phone and call somebody in recovery, and I tell on myself and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking about, and they help me do what we call play the tape all the way through, or all the way forward, which would be like if I was starting to ruminate about thoughts of drinking or drugging, then instead of acting on those thoughts, instead of doing that, I pick up the phone and call Sam, or I pick up the phone and call Kurt, or I pick up the phone and call John. I've got a whole list of guys that I can pick up the phone and call, in trying times.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're there for me and that I'm there for them, by being sober, I can give them good, sound, sober advice. It's like when I call my dad, like he's 95% of the time he's sober. He drinks a little bit, but he's not an alcoholic.
Yeah.
His father was an alcoholic. And then my grandfather on the other side was also an alcoholic. So I get it from both sides of my family. I've got that alcoholic, drug addict gene. You guys have heard me say before, my first thought, my first react, my first thought, my first impulse to just about everything is addict, alcoholic. A lot of the time, I try to do the exact opposite of whatever it is that I'm thinking about doing. And I have to let that first, and sometimes it's the first thought and even the second thought, that'll be addict, alcoholic, but I can be aware of that. And when I start to feel that way, I have tools that I can use. Nowadays, like yesterday, we had a great day. It was beautiful here in Seattle. Group of us hung out, went down to Golden Gardens.
Yeah.
It was absolutely gorgeous. Lots of people down there.
Lots of beautiful women.
Lots of beautiful women. Yeah. Volleyball and everything else. And that was a lot of fun. And then we geared up and we went to Green Lake, and played softball for a while.
Yeah.
And your boy got lucky and went out the park yesterday.
Yep, he sure did.
Yeah, I got my first home run in like 20 years, but that was a lot of fun. But we just, we do stuff like that, and then we came back over here and
you got firewood.
Yep.
We're gonna have a fire and watch the World Cup.
Yep. USA won yesterday. That's good.
USA.
I'd love to go to one of those games, wouldn't you?
I know.
Yeah, those tickets are pretty expensive, bro.
Yeah.
But, it's a once in a lifetime deal. I remember back in '94, the World Cup was in Dallas. That was a big deal. I was just a kid. I think I was 94. I was 12. So that was quite the experience.
I bet it was.
Yeah. But anyways, back to the friend thing. Something that I've been toying with the idea of here lately is possibly moving, right? And what I've come to understand is that, I'm right where I need to be right here, right now, doing what God wants me to do.
Yep.
I don't know that I need to change all of that. And like I said, some of my guys have known that I've been talking about moving. But the thing is I've got so many friends here in this area, and my support system, my network that I've been building over the past 20 years. And, I don't know that I want to give up that network that's my lifeline,
Yeah.
right? My guys in recovery, that's my lifeline. That's what keeps me away from that first drink or drug, and us doing fun stuff. That's the whole point of Sober Souls, is to talk to you guys about all the fun stuff that you can do in recovery, and you can make a whole day of it like we did yesterday. I think
Yeah.
this next week we're going out on the water on a
Yep.
boat
Yep.
of a friend. So we got that coming up. You've got a baseball game you're going to on Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm going to Mariners game against the Red Sox.
Mhm.
That should be fun. Yeah, touching on friends and brotherhood and friends in recovery versus friends before. I used to have a lot of friends or so-called friends.
We'll call them acquaintances.
Yeah. Yeah. And, when you got dope and money, you're the most popular person in the world.
Mhm.
But when you got nothing and you're sober, no one wants to be around you until you actually go and you find people that are like-minded and actually, introduce yourself and, start talking. All it takes is a conversation. And then you have some sober friends that you can actually rely on and call any time of the night. Like last night, me and Caleb were on the phone for like 2 hours after he left. And it's having that group of sober friends or sober brothers is what keeps me sober, because if I'm hanging around with the people I was doing dope with, I'm gonna end up doing dope.
You go to the
You,
barbershop too many times, you're going to end up getting your hair cut.
yeah, you can't soar with the eagles if you're running with the turkeys.
Vultures, turkey vultures.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. You lay down with dogs and you get fleas.
Yeah.
It's like in Lonesome Dove. Their buddy Jake, he falls in with a bad group, and even though he didn't kill anybody, they killed a couple guys that had some horses that they stole, and then they killed a couple of sodbusters, and they shot them, and then they hung them, and then they burned them. And when that group of guys got caught, even though Jake hadn't himself killed anybody, he was running with that band of outlaws, and the noose went around his neck too.
Yeah.
So they had to hang their friend because he fell in with a bad group and he didn't take a chance to getting away from that group before that group did a bunch of bad things, killed a bunch of people. You ride with an outlaw, you die with an outlaw.
Exactly.
So, nowadays I try to think about, do I really need to be at this place where whatever it is, a wedding or a bar or a party or a concert or whatever? I always have what we call a back door. So always have a back door for yourself if you're going to go to an event or whatever where there's going to be drinking and drugging. Ask yourself, do I really need to be here? And then always have a back door so that you can get out of that situation if you need to, if your sobriety is all of a sudden in jeopardy and you need to get away from people, places, and things, which we have no control over.
Yeah.
Always have that back door, or drive your own car, or, be close to a bus stop where, something, have a way out,
Yeah.
right? If you get into a situation, to where you're feeling uncomfortable, always have that back door. And, part of that back door is having people to call, to help you walk through that door.
Yeah.
And then, since we're speaking of doors, when a door closes, a window opens, right? When it's just my opinion, but when God closes a door, he opens a window. That doesn't mean that we should try to open back up the door.
No, it does
right?
not.
So here recently, we'll talk about resentment. They say that resentment is the number one offender, that it kills more addicts and alcoholics than anything else. And there's a guy that I was good friends with a couple of years ago, and we got crossways, and he tried to put a hit out on me, and wanted me dead. And I didn't even do anything to this guy. He's just a crackhead prick that I tried to befriend. And he started talking to people about trying to set me up. And I would say that that door is closed.
Yeah, lock it, leave it closed, you know, brace it, fuck that door.
Right. So that door closed and then a window opened and I got to become friends with somebody else. And, that kind of takes his, takes away his power, so to speak. And, all of a sudden I've got new friends to replace that friend. And I'm grateful for that today. Really grateful for that. So, the friends that I have today, like I said, they're priceless. They really are.
Yeah. Speaking of like hits and people like, that are on drugs and that really aren't your friend, like there are some people that are now in recovery that back when I was gunning and running, um they had tried to, kill me and like had bullets flying at me, firing off guns at me. And through the power of recovery in the program, they were able to make amends with me. And then we were able to fix that relationship. Because normally, if someone tries to kill me, it's over. I don't take that very lightly, except for, you know, if they're in a program, recovery program. It's I also struggled like with resentment, same as you, especially with the people that I was hanging out with at that time. When it's like I can't get mad at them, I can only get mad at myself for letting me be in those situations. Um, like where it's I had people like I got a guy that owes me like $100,000 from back in the day, and am I gonna sit there and stew over it? No, it was my fault. I got taken advantage of because I didn't have the power to say no. Because a lot of the bad choices and people that you associated with during that time is due to loneliness. Because there's nothing lonelier than sitting there doing drugs by yourself.
Yeah, they say that addicts and alcoholics know loneliness like few do.
Yeah.
And we do, and that's when we get all up in our heads. And, that's why we're doing Sober Souls, so that you guys don't have to be all up in your head. We can give you guys ideas about things to go do. There's so much to do. It's insane. When I was drinking and drugging, it didn't matter if it was 70 degrees outside and perfectly sunny, not a cloud in the sky, or if it's 40 degrees and pouring down rain. I was going to be inside drinking and drugging no matter the weather, no matter what was going on. I missed all kinds of important events and weddings and birthdays and all kinds of stuff for the, 20 something years that I drank and drugged. I missed out on a lot of really fun, clean, healthy fun. And I missed out on a lot of opportunities, you know. Um, I was 29 when I took my last drink, which, was a long time ago, but, um, in doing that, like we were talking about, I've been able to build relationships instead of destroy them.
Yeah.
I've been able to mend relationships instead of destroy them. I've been able to make amends to people, and try to live today, and not make those same mistakes. If I start thinking about something, to play the tape all the way through, because like I said, my first thought is always going to be addict, alcoholic, but I don't have to act on it. You know.
Yeah. Speaking of weddings, I missed my own sister's wedding because she didn't want me there because of my addiction, because I couldn't put the pipe down. Same with other family members. Um, and it's I was choosing to hang out with these shady people who didn't give a fuck about me instead of being choosing my own family, which is something that I have to live with and make amends for. Hopefully in the future I'll be able to have those relationships, but for now I understand that time heals. um it's like I've been in situations where it's the people that are so-called brothers put a gun to my head over something a bitch said.
Mhm.
um Sorry, something a girl said. I'm used to talking like that, but yeah, like I've been in situations like that, and I've had my dope stolen. I've had multiple guns stolen. I've had money stolen, everything. I've even had my cars.
cars, guns,
Yeah,
cash, dope, girls,
yeah,
houses.
yeah. Like I remember,
I know.
I gave someone that was supposed to be my so-called brother my keys to the car because he was wanting to charge his phone. The next thing I know is my Land Rover is stolen, and he got caught driving. He's like, bro, don't say I took the car. Don't say I took the car. Please, please, please. And it's like I ended up doing that because it's like I thought these people were my friends, and it's I let them take advantage of me, and that's due to like going back to the loneliness and addiction, not having real friends. Because you really feel a lot better when you have actual brothers that you can rely on and call any time of the day.
Mm, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, good.
Uh, yeah. I mean, yeah. I think we touched everything.
Yeah. It's a shorter episode
Yeah.
today. We know, guys, we got a lot to do. We're just trying to come at you at least every other day with something live. Like we said, we looked into next week. We got a bunch of nice weather coming. Summer's here.
Bunch of interviews.
Yep, got a bunch of people that we're going to be bringing on and interviewing here in the next few weeks. So we're going to get some fresh faces in here for you guys. Sam's going to do some of the interviewing. I'm going to do some of the interviewing. Um, yeah, I think it'll be great. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Sober souls, baby.
Sober souls. Make sure you guys like, share, comment, subscribe.
Any questions, comments, anything
Yeah.
you guys want to ask? We're going to try to get back to everybody, so give us time. But any questions that you have, any help that we can be, that's why we're here. So
Yeah.
don't be afraid to reach out, pick up your laptop or your phone, check out Sober Souls.
And sober souls, baby.
All right, bye,
All right, guys.
That's perfect. I got see what Dave's.